Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Hey Satoko, what is it, Oni-sama? Satoko smiled cutely and walked towards me. By the way, for every 3 steps forward Satoko took for some reason, I took 3 steps away. Oni-sama? Why are you running away? Sorry, Satoko, for you to approach me with an affectionate smile on your face. I just have to think. It's some sort of trap. That's so mean. Oni-sama, you meanie. Wah. So sorry, I didn't intend to be so mean. The weeping Satoko came closer to me. I'm a sucker for tears. Click. Clank. Huh? A bear trap? My leg was being chomped down on by jagged metal teeth. Oh ho! You fell for it. Now for the next part. Satoko raised her right arm triumphantly and traps began to trigger one after another. Suddenly the walls sprang forward, throwing me 3 blocks away. And there I saw a giant metal ball covered in spikes hurtling toward me. On top of that, in the direction the ball would knock me, was a giant guillotine. I'm not really sure, but Keiichi-kun, you're not thinking of anything completely ludicrous right now, are you? Not really. Not at all. That's a lie. You've got the kind of look in your face that says I'm going to be crushed by a giant spiked metal ball. How could my expressions convey what I was thinking like that? Sorry, imagining a meek, gentle Satoko is impossible right now. I'll try again when I'm in better shape. Next I looked over at Rika-chan, who was working diligently on some kanji drills. In contrast to Satoko, her default state was meek and gentle. If Rika-chan came at me saying Oni-sama, I'd hug her. Tightly. I could get used to that. Keiichi-kun, you're drooling. Sorry. Then how about you, Rika-chan? Are you saying that her appearance is deceiving as well? Saying that out loud felt a tinge of doubt. Was Rika-chan really all sweet? Despite her appearance, she really was quite sly, sweetly. How do you put it? Evading things deftly? I get the feeling that Rika-chan isn't only just sweet. Her appearance is definitely deceiving. I couldn't put exactly what I was imagining to words, but Rena managed to say what I wanted to. She turned to me with an impish look in her eyes, like she was saying, "Aw, you shouldn't say something like that. When Rika-chan grows up, I'm sure she'll become an incredibly devilish beauty, with men wrapped all around her little finger. Don't you think that would be cool?" Rena said that lightheartedly, but I, as a man, couldn't laugh at that. The scary part about that was that it felt like it could be true. Noticing my gaze, Rika-chan turns towards me and let loose with an angelic smile. Both Ren and I, feeling as if that was directed towards us personally, had our hearts skip a beat. How so cute. So cute. Rena, your nose is bleeding. Appearances can be deceiving, huh? Well then, what about our dear leader Mion? I stared at her as she tried to weasel her way out of her scolding by the teacher. But Rena's theory of that unrefined, calculating, conniving Mion also had a side to her that belied appearances. Then, what you're saying is Mion, despite her appearance, is actually a good person. Mi-chan is a good person. Oh well, that is true. But what I'm trying to say is... Yep, I know what you're trying to say, Kage-kun. Catching on that I was struggling to express my feelings as words, Rena smiled ever more brightly. Know what? Mi-chan is mysterious, right? She is a girl, but she's a guy. That's right, Mion was more than aware that she was a girl, but it was exactly as Rena said. When Mion livened up the mood, it wasn't as though she felt like a guy or a girl specifically, but a friend of the same gender. If she were a guy, we'd probably be like two peas in a pod. Although, that's the same way it is right now, huh? But you see, even that Mi-chan is actually really feminine. Rena, how much did Mion pay you exactly? That's not true. Jeez, I'm trying to have a serious conversation, you know? Rena began to pout. Now probably wasn't the right time to joke around. Mi-chan is club president, so she's trying really hard to lead everybody. But she's really a very cute girl. I really don't want you to forget that, Kage-kun. Rena's gaze focused off in the distance beyond where Mion was. That Mion I met at Angel Mort was unimaginably different compared to the Mion that I normally knew. Flustered and hesitant from the unfamiliar job, it was a far cry from the brash and confident Mion. Even though she had to hurry to work, she went through all the trouble to bring me food when I was on the brink of starvation. And she did so not as Mion, but as shion. What exactly was shion to Mion? What kind of person was Mion exactly? Kage-kun probably couldn't even begin to imagine, eh? As if to say our little secret, Rena held her finger up to her lips as she giggled. Mion, finally free from the teacher's preaching, returned to her seat, cradling her head to hide her embarrassment. Humph. This old man, you see, thinks that grade school is enough for everything you need to study for in life. Saying that, she plopped down into her seat violently. Mia was actually really feminine. Right. I have an idea. Need to... Game has crashed. The crash report next to the game executable, it would be great if you'd send it to the developer of the game. Well, at least OBS didn't crash. Because sometimes when I just close a game, OBS will crash. Let alone if a game crashes. So we got lucky. Are we still... Which sprites? Oh, we're still on modern ones. I do prefer the modern ones, but I'm trying to see what the original art was. Well, damn! I still prefer the modern art, but yeah. Is the game crashing again? Stop. I really like the Shion outfits. Okay, I'm glad we went back to see the other art styles, but I really do prefer the modern anime version, but I still have a strong appreciation for this style as well, because I still like this art style. So I like both, but for most of the playthroughs, I'm going to keep with modern. I will definitely say the waitress outfit. Damn, and bow styles, very sexy. Okay. I just wanted to check out what the other outfits look like. I wonder if I can meet Shion again. I wanted to talk to her again. Clang clang. The principal waved around the bell that served as the school chime. The teacher rushed back to the blackboard and began to list everyone's homework assignments. Whoa. It looks like there's going to be a lot of homework today. Gotta buckle down. Well then, that means even Rena? Huh? What do you mean? Appearances can be deceiving. Wouldn't that apply to you too? Huh? Keiichi-kun, how do you see me? Loreni Ruganu sometimes took things too far, but was generally a kind and gentle, ideal girl. How do you see me? How? Really? Really? Then that makes me happy, I guess. If she was the opposite of what she seemed, then that would make her... And if we're really the opposite... Just try saying it, I won't be mad. That's what I felt she meant. Rena is... Even if you were the opposite, you'd still be Rena, right? It's not like we experienced the opposite of what Rena is in the previous chapter of this game. This question shouldn't have been so nerve-wracking to answer. Maybe it was because the person in question was staring at me, but even saying that took a strange amount of effort. That's no fair, Keiichi-kun. It bothers me when you say it that way. How? Perhaps unable to endure my sense, Rena's face began to burn red with embarrassment. Rena! Keiichi-chan! Let's go home! Mia walked over and started getting ready to go home. Whenever school is over, she really does get noticeably more energetic. It was the same relaxing walk home as always. Digging around my pocket on a whim, I noticed something that should have been there that was missing. What's the matter, Kei-chan? The key to my house I always carry around is gone. Man, where did I lose it? It's fine today since my parents are home, but still, this is bad. That sure is troublesome. Did you forget it somewhere, or did you drop it? Which one was it? Did I take it with me this morning in the first place? Huh. Kei-chan, did that key have anything that would make it stand out? Yeah, it's on a keychain. It was a blue fur seal, something I made for summer homework a long time ago. Huh. Does it have its eyes shut like it's taking a nap? Oh, how did you know? Yeah, that's it. Mion looked away and began to whistle. See? You went for dinner at the Angel Mort a couple days ago, right? That night the staff found a key, and there was a fur seal keychain attached to it. And she said that, and she suddenly grew flustered, and added that Shion had told her about it. Huh. So I dropped it then. Huh, but aren't you glad they found it? I'm sure Shion/Mion did not make a copy of it secretly. I'm sure they're looking after it for you. That's right. Why don't you go? Shion looks the same as me, so you'll know her by sight. This was a rather unexpected development. Once again, I had no choice but to go and meet with Shion. But I also had to thank her for the bento for yesterday. Besides, taking some time and chatting with this other side of Mion might be interesting. Half-jokingly, I began to think about things like this. Right. Angel Mort, was it? I'll head over to Shion's restaurant and get my key back. While I'm at it, having a nice spot of tea might not be a bad idea. Ha ha ha. You sound like an English gentleman. That's totally doesn't suit you, Kei-chan. Is this the restaurant? The one that Mi-chan's little sister is working at? Yeah, why don't we go together, Rena? Sorry to disappoint, but I have plans with my father day some other time. Rena seemed pretty disappointed about having to miss such a great opportunity. You said they're twins, but do they really look that much alike? Enough to mistake which one is which? Yeah, they're totally the same, at least on the outside. Unlike Mion, she's well-mannered and really cute, though. In response to my teasing, Mion pouted and began to argue with me. I couldn't help but burst out laughing at Mion's little farce. After all, they weren't just identical, they were the same person. After going home, I changed my clothes and dug into my bike out of the garage. Just thinking that I would be able to meet Shion again gave me a mysterious feeling. Shion, a name for a different kind of Mion. She was a mysterious and ridiculous person, believing she had fooled everyone like that. I noticed that I was pedaling along quite happily. Could it be that I was looking forward to meeting Shion? I felt a sense of giddy anticipation, like I was headed towards a new friend's house for the first time. What Rena said about Mion actually being really feminine sprang to mind once again. The guilt from spying on another side of Mion, the self-consciousness from being the only one that knew about that side. These feelings mixed together. That was Shion for you. Mion's little twin sister, until she felt like coming out and admitting she was Mion. It was fine to just call her Shion, right? Mion might be trying to have some fun by acting out a different persona. As I reached the top of the steep hill, the horizon expanded before me. I was almost at the station. Last time I wasn't embarrassed since I was here with Dad, but this time I was alone and I was strangely self-conscious about it. Meet Shion, get my key back. That was all this task was supposed to be. If I dawdled around like this, maybe Shion would find me before she headed to work. Hey, what are you doing, Keiichi-Mabara? You're just here to get your key back, you know? It's not like you're some love-struck schoolboy here to hand over a love letter. The thoughts inside my head were slowly turning into a jumbled mess. I came to the realization that I was downright giddy. That's why, for just a bit. For just a tiny little bit. I got a little carried away and did something really stupid. I kicked over a parked motorcycle that was blocking the sidewalk. It was in the way, sure, but there was absolutely no need for me to kick it. I definitely think I got too carried away. Thunk, clank, crash. As the three bikes toppled one after another like dominoes, the loud noise snapped me back to my senses. Oh, shit. The hell do you think you're doing? Fuck. The owners of three bikes were right there. They looked exactly like you would call thugs up to no good. They lifted up their heads up in an imposing manner and yelled angrily in a way I had never heard before. The three of them beelined towards me, the worn-down heels of their thin-soled shoes slapping noisily against the pavement. I could only stare listlessly as if I were watching some far-off event that didn't concern me at all. By the time I realized that I had been grabbed by the collar and lifted onto my tiptoes. Don't be playing dumb. You knocked him over, did ya? Huh? The three thugs were completely ignoring the rules of grammar, but the way they spoke was enough to make me tremble. Just like that, my composure drained away, my legs buckled, and my throat grew dry enough to crack. I'm sorry, I accident my ass. You kicked it, don't you, dumbass? I was completely at fault, so there was nothing I could say in my defense. As a result, I was pulled even higher. To hell, man. The pants all scuffed. Yo, brat, who's put you up to this? This is your goddamn fault. The three of them continued to yell at me. I had no idea what each of them were saying. Getting further enraged that I was only listening while dumbstruck, they grabbed an empty plastic crate from a nearby store and began to smash it repeatedly against a telephone pole. Cracks formed in the crate, plastic shards flying everywhere. They then slammed it full force into the shuttered storefront. Smash! The shutter let out a frighteningly loud noise. Still not satisfied, they flipped over a case of empty cans, scattering its contents all over the place. This was not normal. It was something you saw often on television or in manga, but I never thought seeing it in person would be this terrifying. I became painfully aware that the safety of civilized society was only held up by such a frail concept as morals. My knees clattered together noisily. Static began to pepper my vision. This is what you'd call absolute terror. You guys remember the AT fields from Evangelion? Absolute terror fields? There was nothing I could do to stop this frightening spectacle of violence. I could only pray for help. The fear I felt was just too much. Would somebody help me? My gaze floundered about the surrounding area. I was surrounded by these three hoodlums. No way would there be a passerby brave enough to intervene? Maybe this was what you'd call reaping what you sow? If I were a passerby, there'd be no doubt that I'd ignore what was going on. So this was somewhat of a cosmic retribution. Fucking say something! I'll fucking stab you! Angry yelling, loud enough to rattle my eardrums, spewed forth right in front of my face. My waning consciousness was forcibly dragged back to the forefront. The thug had cocked back his free hand and twisted his body when suddenly a metallic taste filtered through the back of my throat. A chill ran down my spine like a jolt of electricity. Seeing what was going to happen next, I squeezed my eyes shut as tightly as possible and grit my teeth. You're making quite... Okay, that's a different person. You're making quite the racket, you stupid pieces of trash. Get out of my sight. That voice was a short distance away. Still holding me by the collar, the three thugs spun around to look behind them. Hi, Shion. The fuck, you say? Okay, I do need to try to make shorter videos. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more, let me know. I'm going to go to save. Click. Yay. Anyway, but, yeah. If you're watching this, thanks for stopping by. Bye.